It's not too often in the video game industry that cut content from older games finds its way to the public. Usually the most we ever get out of these kinds of things is either blurry screenshots scanned from magazines or poor quality videos from Japanese events or television. One of the most notable examples of exactly the opposite happening would be Hidden Palace Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Everyone who's followed the Sonic Retro forums or knows anything about historical cut content in games should be aware of this one. Hell, if you have Sonic 2 on mobile, there's a chance you actually stumble upon this stage by mistake in Mystic Cave Zone. Let's go back a bit though. DRX releases the Nick Arcade prototype of Sonic 2 in 2006. Later on, he released 1,000 other Sega ROMs. This event is typically referred to as the DRX prototype release. The oldest known prototype of Sonic 2, the one called the Nick Arcade prototype because it resembled footage of Sonic 2 from the Nick Arcade game show from the 90s, was later ripped apart by the community, and now, as a result, we now know more about hacking Sonic games on the Sega Genesis than ever before, because the drive to find cut content or even minor changes from the final version drove people to research into it. While the inclusion of Hidden Palace Zone in Sonic 2 Mobile was really just a nod to the huge community of Sonic fans dedicated to uncovering this otherwise cut content, it provides a good segue into the main subject of this video, the beta of Sonic Adventure, and more specifically the beta version of the stage, Windy Valley. But before I cover that, I'll show off what we were accustomed to for years, at least before the Sonic Adventure Auto demo was dumped and ripped apart on Sonic Retro. The final version of Windy Valley is a rather linear level, and being that it is the second level, coming right after Emerald Coast, I suppose that makes a lot of sense. Windy Valley, like other levels, is divided into sections. In the final release, there are 3 sections of this level: Windy Hill, the Tornado, and the Air. All 3 sections of the level are rather different from one another, even though all of them still follow the same theme of wind. The first section is a bright mountainous area with tons of floating windmills all over and lots of green. It's not to last, however, as almost as quickly as you enter the stage, you're whisked away by a tornado, bringing us to the next section. The Tornado is a huge vertical section containing many scattered platforms, all resembling set pieces from the previous section. Once you reach the top, you're thrown to a bright and sunny sky with many floating islands all connected by metal railways, eventually leading toward the end of the level where you run down a twisted metal path, ending the level afterwards. Definitely one of my favorite levels. I quite like the theme, and the level does provide a good sense of speed. However, being the semi-obsessed Sonic fan I was back in the day, as a child on the internet, I would always find myself on sites like Sonic Cult, reading up on the latest information on obscurities found in the Sonic games. One of their more notable pages was the Sonic Adventure page, where all sorts of magazine scans and videos were, all of a very different Windy Valley. Now, without further ado, those screenshots. These 2 were found on the Sega Dreamcast Loop Checker disc. They're 2 of the 3 highest quality shots of the Sonic Adventure pre-release. I wonder why these renders were dropped on the disc. Anyhow, here is the 3rd of the high quality ones, a shot of Tails, which, oddly enough, was actually used to promote Sonic Adventure DX as well as the original Sonic Adventure, despite the actual content of the picture being cut from the final game. Now these 3 are actually notable for being in the final game. These 2 are in the intro CG scene toward the end of the video. If you look in the background, you'll notice the setting is actually the Windy Valley pre-release level. And this 3rd one is actually most notable because it's actually used in an in-game cutscene during the beginning of Amy's storyline. As you can see, it too is the pre-release version of the Windy Valley stage. Kind of strange that the developers snuck the level in 3 times for the official release. That, to me, says that the people who designed the level must have been rather disappointed that it had to be cut. That would also explain the situation with the aforementioned Dreamcast Loop Checker disc. And finally, there's some, frankly, terrible quality footage of the level from various sources. Here is that footage. You see, when I was younger, the idea of more levels or content for what, at the time, was one of my favorite video games was just completely awesome. I mean, just really, really cool. I practically worshipped Sonic back then, even all my friends liked Sonic games. To me, even one more level would have just blown my young mind. And up until recently, that level was still one of the most sought after pieces of content. The efforts were not in vain. Flash forward to 2013, a user on the Sonic Retro forums makes a post about a dump he's created of a kiosk auto demo used in Japan to promote the then upcoming Sonic Adventure. The internal build date of the disc actually predates the final release by quite some time. It's dated October 16, 1998, 55 days since the game's initial unveiling at Tokyo International Forum, and 49 days before the internal build date of the first final release of Sonic Adventure. Users speculate about the possibility of the disc actually containing the sought-after Windy Valley beta. First came prototype Chow Garden music. Then someone looked into the first bit of level data and found what appears to be a test level, and shortly after they posted another test level. Then it happened. Someone found the first act of the beta version of Windy Valley, and shortly later they posted the third. The only catch is that there weren't any textures, just the stage models. Another couple of different stages and a whole beta Chow Garden later, and the Tornado section was found as well. People started remaking the textures themselves and trying to port the stages over to the PC version of Sonic Adventure DX. And now, in June of 2014, a full year later, the efforts were finally realized. And here it is, in the 2004 PC version of Sonic Adventure DX, fully restored by the fans.
not bad.
The level you just seen, if you hadn't noticed, was a lot more open than the version of the level in the final game. It makes me wonder if the level was cut due to spatial limitations. Perhaps they felt that it was too open, that players would get confused by the open-ended level design so early on in the game. Either way, for one reason or another, it was cut in the end, and someone somewhere clearly liked the level design, taking the effort to sneak renders of it onto that old Dreamcast loop checker disc, and even in the final release during cutscenes. Overall, I actually quite prefer this version of the level over the final version. Having the branching paths and overall open-ended level design, oddly enough, this level design quite reminds me of Knights on the Saturn, with some Sonic Jam, Sonic World-esque level design aspects. Kind of makes me think this level may have been one of the earliest levels made for the game, which would explain why there's so much footage of it in all the release trailers. I suppose that could have also been another reason why they redid it. In any case, we have the level now, and I suppose that's all that matters. If you'd like to give the level a play for yourself, you'll need to have a copy of the 2004 version of Sonic Adventure DX PC, not the Steam version. For more details on that, check out the level's release video. If you like this video, I'd appreciate subscriptions, likes, and comments. While you're at it, feel free to follow me on Twitter and check out my website. And lastly, thanks for watching.